we are live from L.A. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. Morning, guys.
What are you laughing about?
Hello, debonair myself.
Really?
Yep. Would you say so, Skip?
You weren't so debonair on Friday night.
What happened?
I don't know.
What
I want
happened?
to thank James Harden. I'm not even a big James Harden fan, but he won me yet another case of Diet Mountain Dew. Thank you, James. Thank you, Shannon.
Skip, we're going to have to do something about it.
I know. We got to do something.
No. Man, the man taking the man making 8 or 25 shots, shooting 35 times. He should get 31 points. Skip.
I didn't propose the bet. You did. I just take the bets. Right, Jenny?
Yeah,
right?
you're right. I was here for that.
I thought Kawhi would guard him at least some.
Okay, he
Not
did
Danny.
some.
No, Danny Green had him the majority of the night.
Well, he
and
did
Siakam.
some. I know, but remember what I told you about number 2? He's just taking the year off, just like he did last year. I told you.
You're just a hater.
It was your fault. It was my fault.
That's all right. I get it back.
Okay.
I got there's a big event that's going to transpire.
Oh, really?
We do have a busy week.
I will get it back.
Okay, here we go.
It is Super Bowl week, but so much more to get to on today's show. Should Shannon go out and buy an Anthony Davis Lakers jersey too soon?
Going to get
right amount of
What
time?
number are you going to get? I don't know.
I think it's going to be like 25.
25? Yeah, he should be 23 to me.
We will get to that.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of the Super Bowl, will we see Tom Brady in the Super Bowl for 4 more years? Maybe Skip would have something to say about that. But we are going to start with the Saints. The NFC Championship game was over a week ago, but the Saints and their fans are still very upset. Cam Jordan sent a clear message about the non-pass interference call by wearing a shirt to the Pro Bowl yesterday that said, "Blow whistles, not games." Adding even more fuel to the fire, there is growing concern that the NFL allowed 4 game officials who live in Southern California to work the game, and those same officials were shown to be the most responsible for the no call. The league has reportedly told the Saints that they, quote, effed up. Skip, how much worse is this situation now?
Shannon Sharp. I'm going to say this again. I am speaking from a position of deep love for the National Football League. I love me some NFL, and I have for about 40 years covering it. I love me some Super Bowl. And this is just so wrong. It feels so bad, and it feels so utterly avoidable that I can't help but say that the worst blown call in the history of sports just somehow got worse. Just when I thought the National Football League couldn't let it get any worse, it looks even worse. And you and I both know the NFL lives for its image. Image is everything to the National Football League. And the optics here look worse than ever, given what ESPN just reported, because it further taints the Super Bowl. So ESPN quotes an officiating source as saying the NFL itself in a bad situation. This one slipped through the cracks, and did it ever, because we've seen in the past that the NFL went way out of its way to avoid even the hint of impropriety with any of its referees. So we know the great Ed Hockley lived in Phoenix. So no Cardinals home games for him. And we know the great Mike Carey lived in San Diego. So no Chargers home games for Mike Carey. Yet here we have Gary Cavaletto. And I never heard the name of Gary Cavaletto, but I know it's ingrained in my brain now because he was the side judge who probably had the best chance to make that call. And now we find out that he lives in Santa Barbara. Big deal? Maybe, maybe not. Patrick Turner, who was the down judge, whose job it was to follow Tommy Lee Lewis all the way out of the backfield down the sideline. He could have thrown that flag. He lives in Lakewood, which isn't that far from Inglewood, where the Rams are going to have their permanent home. The back judge on that play, Todd Prokup, could have pulled his flag. He lives in Mission Viejo. And, of course, the head referee, Bill Vinovich, lives in in Newport Beach. And he probably couldn't have made that call. He was just too far away from it. But there were 3 right in the general vicinity. And do I think any of the 3 actually failed to reach for his flag because he lived in Southern California? I doubt it. But then
you
again,
can't say that, then. It blows it up out of the water after that point.
Okay, but then I stop and I think, wait a second. This is one of the top-rated crews in the National Football League. So how could 3 people who all live in Southern California miss the most blatantly obvious call in the history of a championship game to decide who gets to go to the Super Bowl. And it makes me wonder, and if I stop and wonder for 1 second, then something is really wrong here. And I realize the NFL went out of its way to try to appease Saints fans by fining Roby Coleman for the helmet-to-helmet, and then it was reported that Commissioner Goodell called Sean Payton. I don't know what he said to him, but at least he called him instead of issuing a public, any sort of statement, let alone an apology. Yet, in the end, for me, just the mere hint of impropriety that 4 of these referees live in Southern California has just made the worst call in sports history feel even worse, look even worse. And I know what you think about this, but again, you have to admit that this is just insult to the injury that was Saints not going to the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm going to work backwards. You said this is the best, these were the highest rated officials. Am I correct?
Sure.
So because they're the highest rated officials, they get preferential treatment as to what? Playoff games, correct? So,
but you could have assigned this crew to New England, Kansas City, and nobody would have said a word, right?
How do we know? So how do we know those other guys weren't from... So let me get this straight. I've lived here for 25 years. The Rams up and move here. Am I supposed to move too?
No, but you shouldn't be assigned to their championship game.
They didn't assign... Skip, here's the thing. I rated the highest, which means I'm the best. So what, you let somebody bypass me? Because I'm the best?
No, you just send the crew to New England, Kansas City. It's very simply done.
How do we know? How do we know nobody from New England, Kansas City game's not from Kansas City?
Well,
so what?
They weren't. And by the way, nobody refereeing this upcoming Super Bowl has any roots in Southern California or Massachusetts, so we're good there.
So what if my mama's from Massachusetts? What if my brother lives in Massachusetts?
Well, it's just there's one thing to have that because you probably could never eliminate all that. But do you live near the team?
So
because if you live near the team, you're going to get more bombarded with the coverage of said team.
So now, well, hold on, Skip. So this is so I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correct. Is this the first time officials that have lived in a city or close proximity to a city have officiated an NFL game in which the team from that city has played? Is this the first time?
Not, but this was the worst blown call in sports history.
I still think
4 of them are from Southern California.
I think Donnie
Shannon, it looks bad.
Oh, Skip. But so now you just said you don't think, but then you turn it around and says look bad. But how about this here? So in order for your theory and people that believe this theory, for that to be true, these officials are going to have to get together and say there's going to come a chance. There's going to come a time, probably the 4th quarter, Jen, and it's going to probably be around 2 minutes. I need it to be under 2 minutes because it needs to have the dramatic effect. It needs to have the impact because if we throw the flag in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd quarter, or if we throw it at the beginning of the 4th quarter, it's not going to have the same impact. So I'm going to need it to be about 2 minutes left in the ball game. And I'm going to need it to be close so I can say it could be a bang-bang play. And I'm going to refuse to throw my flag, even though it's going to be an egregious non-call.
Yep.
So is that what you're saying? Is that what you believe happened?
This was, as you just said, a top-rated crew. So I'm going to have to guess, I'm going to have to assume that they have high football IQs. So how am I to know or not know that they weren't processing quickly and just deep down, deep in their psyche, that all 4 of them reached and then...
What did P.J. Tucker do, Skip? So he said, you know what, guys? There's going to be a play in the game in which Eric Gordon is going to throw me the ball. Now, I should get the ball, but I'm going to let it bounce around on the floor, and I'm going to let the guy pick it up. So what happened, Skip? Was he trying to blow the game?
How could you compare something that happened between the Rockets and the Knicks
I'm saying
in January? I mean, it's just nothing. He just had a glitch.
Oh, he just had a glitch.
Yeah.
That's my point.
So, wait.
The human element.
All 4 had a glitch at the same flashpoint moment that decided the Super Bowl team, and they're on the top-rated crew, one of the 2 top-rated crews in football.
I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. So some of the greatest players. So Bill Buckner, who was a great player, he just let the ball go through his legs.
Okay, that's physical as well as mental, right?
Magic Johnson dribbling the timeout on the clock.
Sure.
What was that? Magic Johnson, he didn't deserve to be there.
What if all 4 Lakers on the court each had the ball and they all dribbled it out?
Skip. The fact of the matter is you want to take the human element out of it. See, what should have happened, Cam Jordan should have had a shirt on that says, make plays instead of excuses. Because what if he said, you know what? Man, if we ever get a 13-point lead in this building with Drew Brees and Sean Payton, it's over. Oh, wait a minute. That's exactly what they had. A 13-point lead at home with Drew Brees.
They did.
Hold on. Who had the ball first in overtime?
They did. But, Shannon Sharp, one more time. What happens if that call gets made correctly? What happens?
We don't never know.
Well, I know it's a 99% chance.
What happens if Seattle runs the football?